With an entry list of over 120 cars, over 200 kilometers of tricky tarmac action, welcome to the southern roads of Czechia. Welcome to Barum Czech Rally Zlín. And round 6 of the 2025 European Rally Championship is also the 5th round of the Czech Championship. There are a bunch of other different series competing on these roads, hence why the entry list is so strong. Let's go through them. Starting off with the Rally 2 cars, we'll go through who's entered for ERC honours, and then we'll go through some of the others who aren't, because some of them are quite interesting as well. We have 39 cars here. Miko Marchik is the top seed, followed by Andrea Mabellini. Then we have Mads Ostberg, John Armstrong, and Mille Johansson. Interesting that we've got some people who you would have expected to see here who are not here. I'm thinking the likes of Nikolai Gryajan, who was meant to be doing a 5-round campaign, who is not here. I was expecting to see him on the entry list because he's somebody who loves the Barum rally. We also don't have Rupa Korhonen, who was recently in action in the WRC and won WRC2 in Rally Finland. After that, we have Simona Tempestini, Jakub Batulka, Stefan Lefebvre, Dominik Shritevsky, who won here this time last year, and Simon Wagner round out the top 10 seeds. After that, we have Max McRae, we have Philip Allen, we have Martin Wilczek, we have Filip Maraj, we have Jan Kopecki, who is Mr. Barum himself. He is the 15th seed, should I say, for the event, because we don't have a number 13. Then we have Eric Seiss, Adam Zezek, Chris Ingram is showing up. He's in an MRF Shod Rally 2 Fabia. We haven't seen him in action since he became a father over the off-season. Jan Kundlach is here. Vaclav Peck Jr. with a C3 Rally 2. Philip Cohn, Jaroslav Colton, David Tomek, Tomasz Kurka, Dariusz Bedrinski, Zoltan Laszlo, Jaroslav Vicek. And that's where we start to get into the non-championship entries after Zoltan Laszlo. So Zoltan Laszlo, number 27. After that, we have Czech. Then we have Hiroki Arai. That is the son of Toshi Arai. He was one of the first Toyota Gazoo Racing invested entries, alongside Takamoto Katsuta. Arai is going to be behind the wheel of a Skoda Fabia R5. That is an old spec R5. He's not entered for the Czech Championship, but he is the number 50 car. We have Alej Jirasek, Yapog Jirasek, Peter Trnocek, Petr Nerestil, Petr Zeznik behind the wheel of a Fiesta Rally 2, Mikhail Horak, Pavel Shevchik. And then we get an Audi A1 Rally 2 kit car. We haven't heard of them for years. He's not entered for any championship honours, but Enrico Vinslik is behind the wheel of that, an Audi A1 Rally 2 kit car. But these were things that we were expecting to see more of when we saw that Orica were working on them, but you don't actually see them that much anymore. Robert Kowloon, Lubele Konchel and Milan Obadal round out the Rally 2 entry list. In terms of the Rally 3s, we have 10. Only one of them is not entered for ER3 honours, and that is Yeli Pelecek Jr. That is the number 82 car. The rest of them are all numbered 28 through 36. Timo Kaparovsky is the lead entry with the Fiesta Rally 3 trophy leader as well. He was very impressive in his WRC appearance in the Rally Estonia, but unfortunately bad landing on jump took him out of the event. Hubert Kowalczyk is the lead Clio, and then we have Błażej Gazda as the next entry. Adrian Zeznik is then the next Fiesta, followed by Casey J. Coleman. We then also have Martin Ravenchak, Sebastian Paczynski, and then we have somebody who has been in the ERC4 in recent years, Daniel Polashak. He was behind the wheel of a 208 in previous years. And then rounding out the ERC3 entry list, we have Robert Kolchak. ERC4 has 12 entries, all of them juniors as well. We'll start off with Kalle Karlberg, then Yeoman Lloyd, Jasper Varr, Craig Ryhill, Aoife Raftery, Keelan Grogan, Levi Lassala, Francesco De Cecchi, Luca Prugloff, Tommaso Sandrin, Maximilian Lichtenegger, and Karl Peder Nordstrand. We have no Tuukka Kauppinen here. It's interesting, we have a quite different list to to what we usually see. No Sergei Perez Jr. either. But there are other people who are going to be entered in for these events as well in RC4 and, well, there's various different classes of RC4. There's RC41, RC42 and also the RC5 machinery, so we'll go through them. The other RC4s, Jaromir Tarabush behind the wheel of a 208, Shaba Viswo, Mikhail Van Hara, Daniel Batunek, Yili Podial Jr., we have Luka Latinovic, and then we have the former ladies champion, Ekaterina Sachieva, behind the wheel of an Opel Corsa Rally 4 for Astra Racing. And that's a throwback name as well in the past, Astra Racing. Sachieva competed last year in the Barum Rally but had to withdraw for medical reasons, unfortunately. Let's see how she does this year. We also have the RC4-1, which is a separate demarcation, I think, for the Czech Championship. So Tarabush, Van Hara, who we've already talked about. We also have David Stefan, Filip Ochela, Peter Solovdic, Patrick Dare, Tomáš Dudak, Adam Kruta, Petr Lukashek, Luben Kabanov, Stanislav Budil, and Veronika Kozminova. In the RC4-2s, we have Daniel Baltunek, Jiří Podial Jr., Miroslav Číž, Petr Kačerek Jr. and Jakub Schimmer. And then for the RC5s, we have a handful, actually, for Rally 5 entries. We have Kupra Danici Keskin behind the wheel of a Fiesta, and then we have two Clios for Jakub Korinek and Mikhail Kolar. Let's go through the other entries, though, because there are quite a few. We have Peter Jan Michael Krakow behind the wheel of a 992 Rally GT. That is the new Rally GT for this year. He usually competes in his native Belgium. He's competed on the IPA Rally and scored points in the WRC version back in 2021. And in addition to that, we also have a Rally GT entered for Martin Rada. That one is entered for the Czech Championship, the 55 plus Czech Championship as well, I believe. We then have a bunch of other different entries, such as a C2 1600 for Krzysztof Rzepak. We have an Evo 9 for Jan Jelinek. We end up with another Evo 9 for Marcel Tuchek. A 997 GT3 for Jan Vonka. A GR Yaris, not a Rally 2, just a GR Yaris for David Shevchik. Another C2 1600 for Zsolt Giruzzi. And yeah, other Fabias, Felicias, Clios. A Dacia Logan is the last entry on the list. Now, as for the stages, we have, like I said at the start of the video, over 200 kilometers of competitive action. Strangely enough, there is a famous name missing from this year's entry list, and that is the Saint-Étienne test. That usually is on the Sunday. It's one that you might know from Richard Bird's Rally, but it's not here for this event. But we do have quite a few, so let's get on with that. Starting off with Friday's action, the shakedown and qualifying test is the Komarov test. We last saw that on this event in 2021. It has previously served as the shakedown as well. That was like 2019, 2018. But if you were somebody who was following when the ERC first went onto the All Live platform, you might recognize this stage. The other test that we have on the Friday is the Zlín Super Special test. That is unchanged from previous editions. It goes through the downtown area of the city. It is 3.1 laps of the area, and it is just under 10 kilometers in length. Saturday's action opens with the Brezovo test, which is largely unchanged from last year's appearance as well. You get a little bit of a lap through the Novodori area of Brezovo, with a nice spectator-friendly section that goes around some main roads and I believe through an underpass as well, and then it opens out towards the end of the stage. It did open last year's Saturday loop as well. The Alenkovic test was last year's power stage. It's often on the Sunday of the Barum Rally, but it's been moved to the Saturday this year. And it is actually a longer test as well. Has it changed direction in addition to all of that? No, it hasn't, but it is just longer. So what you get is you get an extra section about 2.5k in that adds a couple of kilometers onto the test. But the big change is a nice little uphill bit through Belov towards the end of the test. It goes through a nice kind of hairpin section around a rather tall hill and adds an extra 4 or 5 Ks onto the stage. It's a really nice way of rounding out that test. And then the bunch test, which we have seen as a loop opener and a loop closer. I think last year it was the loop closer, and that will be serving as the final stage in the Saturday loops as well. Again, pretty much unchanged from last year in terms of the roads that it uses, but it is in the opposite direction. So there is some similarity, but also some difference. Sunday's action will open with Pindula, which has been part of the Sunday action before for the Barum Rally, but the difference is this year that it is run in the opposite direction. It is also about 700 meters longer than last year, but it still comes in about 700 meters shorter than the 2023 version. So these are roads that are going to be familiar. I believe the last time it was sort of run in this direction, possibly 22, but even then it used slightly different roads. So some of these bits will be familiar in the way they're being run to competitors, but not, particularly familiar. Like, they won't be things that, they would have been able to try out in RBR constantly, like the Semiton test historically has been. Hodoran is a test that was previously known as the Trojak test in 2023, and by that I mean it shares a lot of kilometers with it, but even then a lot of this stage will be new to people outside of the Czech Championships. It's often popped up in the Rally Sprint Kotna, for example, but whilst it has popped up occasionally with some of these roads in the ERC, that is roughly about 5 kilometers of this 20-kilometer test, with the area around Zlín being the spectator-friendly area. It looks really cool. You've got lots of change in elevation. You've got roads that just sweep around with hairpins and just following the natural gradients. This feels a bit kind of San Remo-y in a way, but looks like it keeps the kind of Barum character. And like I said, no Semitan this year, but this is probably the closest that we will get in terms of different stages. And then the power stage for this year will be the Katarinice test, which was on the Saturday last year. Last year's test was 7.49 kilometers. This one is 12.62 kilometers. It takes the route that we know from those previous editions, and then it adds in some bits that were last seen on the Barum Rally in the 90s, by which I mean the test's remaining roads, the final 4 kilometers of the event, popped up in 95, 94 and 93, and heck, even in the 80s. But that is the most recent time that rally maps are showing it, and usually when it comes to Czech rallies, they're really good as a database. So it's going to be something that's a little bit familiar, but a little bit of an unknown as well. As for a recap of last year was dramatic, and the main reason why it ended up being dramatic was because of the changeable conditions. It called out so many different people. Jan Kopečky, for example, who has been Mr. Barum himself, only finished 9th, 2.5 minutes off the win. Like I said, Dominik Strzelecki ended up picking up the win last year. Filip Marek was also competitive, down in 5th. Those are the two top Hankook shot runners. And it was the first ERC win for Hankook as well. Simon Wagner was second, 20 seconds off. Eric Seiss would have been second had it not been for a 20-second penalty, but ended up being classified 24 seconds off the win, rounding out the podium. And then Adam Zizek was 4th place. Other people who were top performers, Efren Jarena was 6th, Miko Marchik was 7th, Herman Neubauer was 8th, and Vlakar Peck Jr. was 10th. But it was a big event for the title because Hayden Paddon, who had won the ERC there 12 months prior, despite losing a wheel on the final day, ended up finishing 12th. But that wasn't the biggest thing. The biggest thing was Matthew Franceschi ended up being witness to his title bid falling apart when he ran out of spare tyres, having picked up too many punches. That was a heartbreaking moment. But last year we ended up with 76 finishes and 22 retirements. So if you're going to ask me who's one to watch, I'm going to say Jan Kopecki. Like, there's nobody else who I would really put as much money on as Jan Kopecki. He may be 43 now, but he has dominated this event in the past. He's currently second in the Czech Championship this year, and the current championship leader is Filip Marej, and that's only 1 point between them. It could be that we see Marej be competitive. Simon Wagner is currently third in the standings. Eric Seiss is currently fourth. Dominik Strzelecki missed the first round and is still fifth in the standings, joint fifth, should I say. So it could be that we see any of those drivers competing. All of them are very competitive on this rally in the past. I would say Kopecki is still the favourite though. Out of our ERC regulars, well, I've mentioned Strzelecki, but I would also say keep an eye out for Michał Marczyk. He's been good on tarmac events. Andrea Mabellini's been very good on tarmac events as of late, and he's ended up being one of the better ERC regulars on them. I mean, he ended up winning Rally Silesia last year, and I know we're talking a couple of 100 kilometres away, and quite different tarmac roads. Like, even though we're talking only a couple of 100 kilometres, the landscape in Silesia is different to the landscape in southern Czechia when you get nearer to the Tatra Mountains. It's going to be a challenge, but I think it's one that Mabellini is more than up for as well. I'm surprised that we don't have the likes of an Efren Llerena showing up, because he can be good at this kind of event. It's a shame that we don't have a Rupa Korhonen, because I would like to see how he does on the tarmac here. It's also a massive shame that we don't have Nikolai Gryasin, because Gryasin, I was hoping, would be doing those 5 rounds that I think were advertised at the start of the year, and this is one of his favourite events. But I guess he's probably prioritising a WRC2 title bid. Anyway, those are my thoughts, those are my feelings. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. As always, folks, thank you so much for watching and joining, and until next time, it's bye-bye for now.